What is the scariest thing that's ever happened to you? Serious.
Attention. Serious tag notice jokes, puns, and off-topic comments are not permitted in any comment, parent, or child. Parent comments that aren't from the target group will be removed, along with their child replies. Report comments that violate these rules. Posts that have few relevant answers within the first hour, and posts that are not appropriate for the serious tag will be removed. Consider doing an IMA request instead. Thanks for your cooperation and enjoy the discussion. I am a bot and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit if you have any questions or concerns.
I've done lots of dumb shit, but the most scared I've been is when I lost my 3-year-old daughter in an IKEA.
When I had to cut my main chute at 1,200 feet and pray my backup didn't open twisted. I'm still here, so it worked as it should.
On my motorcycle, some kid comes around the curve in the wrong lane because he is on his cell phone. I see him clearly on it before I ditch the bike. It was either that or hit him head on. Weird thing is, I wasn't afraid until after when I woke up in the ditch. During my thought was this is it. Kid didn't even stop, just kept driving.
Seeing a coworker being covered with a sheet after paramedics tried to resuscitate him.
I tried to stop 4 guys from attacking this one dude. They stopped, then turned on me. I woke up in the hospital next day, and the nurses told me I was brought in after the men had repeatedly stomped on my head. I am happy to be alive.
My newborn son being rushed to the NICU. Immediately after being born, he made it. Turns 11 next month and is doing great. Thank you, modern medicine.
Got mugged by somebody with a knife when I was about 15. The mugger himself was definitely not as sharp as the knife. He did it in a public place with people around without masking his identity at all. I also only had about 10 pounds in my wallet, so not very successful.
When I had postpartum psychosis and heard a demon in my living room tell me to get off the couch and take my baby.
Childbirth. 20-hour labor for her to get stuck and have to be pushed back inside for an emergency C-section. She didn't cry for 3 minutes and I kept asking my husband to slap me to keep me awake because I could feel myself dying. My uterus wouldn't contract and I was hemorrhaging. I ended up with a staph infection that caused me to have an open wound on my C-section scar that lasted over a year too. Hard to navigate all that with a brand new baby. 0-10 will not do again. My husband got snipped. We were both so scared.
Almost choked once. I was trying to breathe and couldn't, but luckily I was next to a friend who knew the Heimlich maneuver and dealt with the situation very well.
Had multiple UTIs that weren't going away with antibiotics, had lots of worrying symptoms in that region, then after coughing at many trips to the doctor, was sent to have a chest x-ray. They found a large mass. I put 2 and 2 together and figured I had stage 4 kidney/bladder cancer that spread to my lungs. After another scan, they gave me 3 options for what the mass could be: TB, sarcoidosis, or cancer. I googled and there's no way I had the others, so I spent weeks knowing was probably gonna die while I waited for a biopsy. Turns out I did have cancer, but a much more treatable cancer, Hodgkin lymphoma. I never thought I'd cry tears of joy hearing news that I had cancer. After a summer of chemo, I got to remission, and fingers crossed it stays that way.
TW, my first ever job was a retail assistant at a big clothing brand. I was only 19. It was just before 9 p.m. and everyone was doing cleaning up tidying duties. Me and another young guy, Kel, had to take all the recycled packaging out. Basically, you left the building, crossed a small square, and there were these huge dumpsters. I left the building and was walking to the dumpsters. I dumped the cardboard and walked back and then realized I had left the door fob inside. It was dark by then and I knocked on the door a couple of times and just kept pressing the buzzer as I knew Kel was working and would come out with more packaging any second. Out of nowhere. I swear I did not see him before. This massive guy is standing next to me. He was smoking. He said something super creepy like, "What's a pretty girl like you doing standing next to a strong man like me?" I froze and all I managed to say was that I work here and that I am taking the rubbish out. He looked me dead in the eyes. He said, "I'm going to fuck you so hard. You are going to wish you were dead." I can't even remember what I thought. I was just in complete fear. Literally at that moment, I heard the door buzz and Kel comes out and he's like laughing, "Why were you buzzing so much?" I'm crying and screaming and run straight into him. I turn around and the guy is gone. Kel grabs the manager. He calls the police and they come. We made a report, but there was no CCTV back then and that was it. To be honest, I think some of my colleagues thought I was just making it up. I often think about what would have happened if Kel had come a few minutes later.
I was almost attacked by wild boars on my first nighttime walk alone in the woods.
I lived where a terrorist attack happened, and I heard bombs and 130 people dying.
Just being a dumb kid, I impulsively dived into the 3FT, deep shallow end of the YMCA pool before a swimming lesson, and took the impact of the pool floor on my chin. It was only because I was such a shitty little diver that my chin hit the floor, and not the top of my head, which would have crumpled my head into my neck. No one saw it happen, but my head was ringing all day. Got home and my mom asked me why my chin was all scraped up, and I told her I fell while I was running. It was better that she never knew how close I came to being a quadriplegic. Editing, since a decent amount of people are seeing my comment, please, I beg of you to really reinforce pool safety warnings with your kids with the pool season about to get underway. I was very lucky that day.
I thought I had lost my 3-year-old son when I was using the bathroom. I searched almost the entire house, recruited neighbors to look for him, and after I finally called my wife in 911, I found him sleeping in the pantry.
First day in Australia, went swimming in a river and saw the top of a crocodile swimming a few feet away. My survival instinct told me to swim, so naturally my body gave me 2 spontaneous Charlie horses. Then the next day, an angry goat nearly hoofed me in the balls. Fucking love that place.
Had a kid get his leash caught on the reef, crying for help and drowning in the surf 100 m away from me. When I got there was no sign of him.
2 weeks after my grandma died, me and my brother were alone at home, and I remember walking in the hallway when there was a very small empty space there where I could smell her perfume. The thing is, her perfume was very unique, and she never visited this house because we moved in there a week after her death. I called my brother to make sure I wasn't tripping, and he said he smelled it too. This never happened again.
Kayaked across 5 km of open ocean at night in the rain. The waves were so big that when I was in the trough between 2 waves, the water on either side of me was over my head.
Probably the septic shock incident. Seeing your family gathered outside an ICU room while the staff are trying to save you is a memory that still makes me feel odd. I was in my early 40s. My kids think that I have some PTSD from it. Most recently, a totally blind horse spooked into me at a gallop. I remember hooves beside my head and thinking I was done for. Luckily, I came to within 5 or 10 minutes with just a concussion and a back injury. It was a scary moment. I've had too many bad scares to list. My aunt stroked out in our kitchen. She was 37 and I was 18. Horrible memories of the ambulance and my uncle and mom hysterical. I'm beginning to think my kids might be right about some therapy after all. I think I probably do have some trauma issues.
I was in a car crash, driver was drunk. I was riding in the passenger seat. We hit a guardrail head on doing upwards of 50 mph. He hit his head on the windshield, then proceeded to try to drive away. Thankfully, the car stalled due to the radiator being smashed in the collision.
Standing in the burn ICU, when the doctor told me my husband had probably 70% chance of survival if he made it through the next 2 days. 1 month in a coma, 3 months in the burn ICU, 23 surgeries, and 1 organ transplant later, he is still here. Life is different, but I will never forget what it was like facing that level of uncertainty.
Last year, I got held hostage at my Airbnb in Croatia by 2 large guys. I was walking back into my building after a night out, and then 2 men appeared behind me at 1 am, forced me to open the doors to the space, talked to me for about 20 mins inside the apartment, and then they forced me to go to an ATM with them to give them money. It was an outer body experience, and I couldn't believe it was happening at the time. In the end, they only asked for 120 euros. I was traveling alone, and 100% thought they were going to murder me.
I had to throw myself in the grass to not get hit by the car that killed my best friend and seriously hurt a guy that stopped to help us when she ran out of gas. A little over a year ago, I got carjacked at gunpoint right outside my apartment after coming home from work at 2:30 a.m. I threw my keys and purse and ran away immediately.
Spinning a car in front of an oncoming 40-ton truck. Driving a boat full of drunk men across Lake Kariba in the pitch black, never having driven a boat before, knowing that we'd seen hippos and crocodiles bigger than the boat in the area earlier that day, and knowing that the whole area was full of petrified trees that could easily hold a boat or knock the propeller off.
Last summer I was hit by a wave and dragged under. The seabed was pretty rocky and it ripped an earning out. I had my first panic attack a couple days after. Crazy how something so small and inconsequential in the grand scheme of things can shake you up so much. It took me a couple months for my nerves to get back to normal.
I became a truck driver during college and got a summer job driving a tanker full of hot oil. On my third day out by myself after training, this 90-year-old man pulls out in front of me on a 2-lane highway, and I hit that dude going 65 mph. He took out my steer tire, so I ended up swearing into oncoming traffic and then came to a stop in the ditch. Ended up hitting my head on the window. 3 years later, I'm still sensitive to light, and I have trouble speaking at times. Whatever happened to the old dude? He should not have been driving at his age.
I used to repair boats. A customer reported a faulty fuel gauge, which is almost always the result of a bad fuel sender, a floating device that measures the depth of the gasoline. So I removed the fuel sender from the tank and tried to test it. Unbeknownst to me, the customer had tried to DIY the repair and completely fouled up the boat's wiring. When I touched my test lead to another wire, it shorted. I watched in slow motion as a spark jumped directly into the opening on top of the gas tank, and flame instantly licked up out of the hole. Without even thinking, I immediately covered the opening with the palm of my hand. My great piece of luck was that the tank was nearly full. Gasoline will burn enthusiastically, but gas vapors will explode. So smothering the oxygen source with my palm was able to extinguish the fire before it became problematic. If the tank had been nearly empty, I would have been on the news. And the roof, and the parking lot, and several other places. After that, I never tried